This Ag Business Update brought to you by American Implement, indebted to the past, committed to the future. In a moment, Nick Levendofsky of the Kansas Farmers Union.
Wolfter Construction and Irrigation has been around a long time, and a lot of folks have trusted them to design, build, and service all sizes of commercial and on-farm storage for grain and equipment. Wolfter is also known for their outstanding irrigation division, where they stock a complete selection of nozzles, regulators, drops, gear drives, electrical, and structure components. Looking for an electric motor? Wolfter has a large selection in single and three-phase. Next time, reach out to the pros who have decades of experience at taking care of business the right way. Wolfter Construction and Irrigation. When you've had a best friend for over 50 years, you develop a trust. And the Scott Co-op has been a trusted rural friend since 1957. A co-op keeps money in the area, doing business for and with their members. And that helps keep their hometown thriving with keeping money in the community. Scott Co-op is not just an elevator. It's the rural way of doing business. So, when you see an elevator, remember your friends at Scott Co-op.
And our guest is Nick Levendofsky, who is Executive Director of the Kansas Farmers Union. Hi, Nick.
Hi, Ken. How you doing?
Doing well. Thanks for joining us. A few things we want to talk with you about. And kind of first is what seems to be on the top of everyone's mind. That is getting a new farm bill done. All indications are looks like it's going to be a waiting game.
Yeah, it is. Unfortunately, we're not where we need to be in the whole timeline process of the farm bill. It's my understanding that the chairman is working on his chairman's marker bill right now. Didn't go home for the August recess. So hopefully by the time folks get back from August recess after Labor Day, there will actually be a marker bill for the House to work from, and they can keep things moving. But I'm thinking there's got to be an extension on the current farm bill so that we can, buy some more time to get this done.
He has said if it has to be extended, hopefully it's a short one. But
Yeah.
you and I have both been through enough of these now to know that it seems like every time around it takes a little bit longer. But we also got to remind folks, well over almost half of these members of Congress, at least in the House, have never had a chance to vote yay or nay on a farm bill.
That's exactly right. And part of the process that's involved in that is educating those new members of Congress on what the Farm Bill is, what it contains, and then, of course, sharing our priorities with them. So I'm thinking of, Representative Sharice Davids being fairly new on the Farm Bill or on the House Ag Committee. But frankly, Tracy Mann is just as new as well. He hasn't voted on a Farm Bill yet since his time in Congress. And so it's working with those folks all across the board, frankly, to get them up to date on where things are and where we'd like them to be in this next farm bill.
We'll talk about the priorities of not only the national, but the Kansas Farmers Union, what you all like to see in this farm bill.
Certainly, Ken. One of the big things that we're asking for is we would like an additional title created in the farm bill. Currently, we're on 12 titles in the 2018 Farm Bill. We're asking for a 13th competition title, and that would address issues within the agriculture industry, whether it's with packing, meat packing, whether it's with seeds and chemicals and fertilizers, those kinds of things. We've seen a drastic change in the number of meat packers that are out there. There's only really 4 big packers left. Same goes with seed companies, same goes with fertilizer companies, same goes with grain merchandisers. We need to address these issues. It's been a problem now for the better part of the last 40 years. And really, GIPSA at USDA has kind of been neutered, so to speak. We need to see more strength put back into the Grain Inspection, Packers, and Stockyards Administration. So that's a huge priority for us. We want to see a number of different bills move forward as well that address competition and concentration in the marketplace. But we also want to strengthen farm programs, disaster assistance, and risk management. With all of the extreme weather events that we've seen here lately, whether it's drought or too much rain, hail, you name it, these crop insurance programs are going to get heavily utilized. And that's where those dollars need to be going. That's where that focus needs to be going. So We want to make sure that under farm programs, we've got a dual enrollment option for agricultural risk coverage, or ARC, and price loss coverage, PLC. We want to authorize a voluntary update of base acres and yields, and we want to increase loan rates and other price-based triggers that reflect higher commodity prices and input costs. Under disaster assistance, we want to enhance a permanent disaster assistance program to address implementation delays and inequitable or incomplete support. We also want to expand the permanent disaster assistance program options. And then under risk management, we want to make those products more accessible for those specialty crop producers and diverse cropping systems. We have the whole farm revenue protection program, but it's not that affordable and it's not that accessible to most farmers who farm those specialty crops. We also want to give farmers the option to voluntarily remove marginal or sensitive land from production annually in exchange for crop insurance enhancements. We also have additional priorities. Excuse me just a second here. I can get these for you. We'd like to address the USDA staffing shortfalls. There's still quite a few county offices that are understaffed, or they've had to merge with other county offices. We'd like to stem the loss of family dairy farms by enacting the Dairy Revitalization Plan. We want to help farmers tackle climate change and steward their land through financial and technical assistance to support healthy soils and expand on farm renewable energy. We'd like to have incentives to implement practices that increase resilience and decrease risk. And we want investments in agriculture research, outreach, and education. Those are kind of our higher priorities for the Farm Bill. But of course, we're always interested in beginning farmer programs that assist socially disadvantaged farmers, those kinds of things. And then can't forget about the Farm and Ranch Stress Assistance Network. In the last Farm Bill, we got $50 million toward that. It would be glad to see that same amount, if not more, to go back into that, because with all that goes into farming, whether it's the stress of the markets or the stress of the weather, or you name it, debt, the stress falls pretty hardly on farmers and on their backs and on their families. So we need to address this. We need better access to farm stress programs in rural areas.
We're talking with Nick Levendofsky, who is Executive Director of the Kansas Farmers Union. We're going to take a quick break, come back and talk about a big victory that they've received, and we'll do that in just a moment.
S&S Trailer Sales, with 2 locations in Ness City, Kansas, is where everybody goes to buy or rent trailers. They feature the all-new, all-aluminum Mauer grain trailer with all of the electric options, the easy-to-load detached trailers, and a huge stock of header trailers. At the west location, you'll find bumper poles, goosenecks, and oilfield specialty trailers, along with flat and utility beds for pickups. S&S Trailer Sales in Ness City and on the web, but remember, you do have to spell out the and.
Would you like to see something done about high gas prices and low unemployment? Western Place Energy in Campus, Kansas is doing something about it. They're a proud part of Growth Energy, America's ethanol supporters, and they employ 38 people and will be adding more following the expansion. Ethanol fuel not only reduces the cost of regular gasoline, it's good for the environment and keeps money right here in the United States while supporting local rural jobs. Western Plains Energy, doing something for the future.
And our guest is Nick Levendofsky, who is Executive Director of the Kansas Farmers Union. And Nick, as we went to break, we talked about a victory that the Farmers Union received, a letter from the administrator of EPA saying right to repair is good to go.
Yeah, this was quite a surprise here about, a week or so ago. The EPA Secretary Michael Regan sent us a letter that said that the EPA affirmed that the Clean Air Act cannot be used as a basis to restrict independent repair of farm equipment, which is something that we've been pushing for some time now. When it comes to, as I mentioned earlier, competition, concentration, and those kinds of things in the marketplace, right to repair is a huge part of that.
Well, it's one of those that has been worked on, and other groups have tried to come with MOUs to try to get this all worked. But this may be finally opening the floodgates to where we can see what folks like you and others have advocated for. So it'll be interesting to see how that thing continues to play out. Nick, before we wrap up, I do want to just re-examine something that you talked about, and that is the stress on the farm. And we know that something that has been very much a bipartisan issue and worked across with many ag organizations, Farmers Union, Farm Bureau, the two probably top that came together, and working with other groups. We know it's a stressful time, and here in our state especially, we've dealt with a lot of weather situations. Others are doing it now, but talk about that camaraderie, that even though we may disagree on some policy issues, there are things that we can agree on, and one of those is helping people and keeping them on the land.
That's exactly right, Ken. And there are times when we do disagree, but this is something we can all agree on, is that we need to look out for each other in rural America. And when it comes to farm stress, I think it's important for folks to remember that you're not in this alone, that there are a lot of folks out there right now who are struggling, whether it's with the markets, or whether it's with the current weather situation you're dealing with, or debt, whatever it might be. It might be something personal happening at home. No one is immune from this. And I think that's something that we all recognize, whether you're a Farmers Union member or a Farm Bureau member or a member of any of the commodity organizations. Nobody is immune to this. And I can't stress enough how important it is that we look out for each other, that we check in on each other. We're really good about going out and checking on our crops. We drive by and do a crop tour, and we go check on those beans or check on the corn. We go out and check on our livestock. We make sure that they've got plenty of water. They make sure they got plenty of feed, or that the fences are good. We need to be just as good about checking on our neighbors when it comes to that. So whether it's giving them a call and saying, hey, you want to go grab a cup of coffee, or do you want to go on a crop tour with me? You want to go help me check fence? Those kinds of things. Kind of pull them back away from whatever it might be that's pulling them down, and make sure that they're okay. And if they're not okay, recognizing the signs and getting them the help that they need. And I know it's difficult in rural parts of the country, sometimes getting access to those services, those mental health services is difficult. There's also the stigma of, I don't want somebody to see my pickup parked in front of Pawnee Mental Health in Belleville, Kansas. We've got to get away from that. Everybody's fighting their own battle, it seems. And, after coming off of COVID-19 and the pandemic and all that, there's still a lot of folks that are struggling. So we've got to try to do all we can to eliminate that stigma, do a better job of looking out for each other and taking care of each other.
All right, Nick, if folks want to learn more about everything going on with the Kansas Farmers Union, how's the best way to do that?
Best place to do that is at our website. It's at kansasfarmersunion.org. You can also check out the Farm Bill priorities that I mentioned earlier at National Farmers Union's website, which is nfu.org.
All right, Nick, very good. Thanks for checking in with us. We'll talk with you again soon.
Thank you, Ken.
Nick Levendofsky, the executive director of the Kansas Farmers Union, has joined us. We'll take a break, come back with more in just a moment.
The cost of everything has gone up dramatically over the last 75 years. With one exception: keeping electricity affordable.
Wheatland Electric, delivering energy for life, your Touchstone Energy Cooperative.
KBUF Radio has agriculture information for you weekdays beginning at 6 with Agriculture Today. Then it's the KBUF Morning Show, where we talk markets, interviews with newsmakers, and all kinds of information to help you make good decisions on the farm and ranch, including that all-important weather. Follow along on our social media pages or listen to KBUF or other radio stations online at westernkansasnews.com. I'm Ken Rogers. Thanks for watching.